Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Gardens, the Untold Story. Ken Somerville and our co-host, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener, who wrote the music for the beginning of the show, by the way. If you don't know, check him out on SoundCloud under the Invisible Gardener. But today, guys, we're supposed to be talking about organic fruit tree care. And Andy, you wrote this is, I think, what, the fourth chapter or third chapter? Third chapter. No, it's fourth chapter in your book. I didn't change that on the background. Dang, I love stuff.
Who counts, right? Chapter 3 is in the background.
Well, yeah, and it should be chapter 4. Guys, I lost up when I was changing the background. I'll have to catch up next week.
Okay, well, that's it. That's it. Let's call it quits. Let's go, guys.
Oh, we're all done. Yeah.
So, it's Don't Panic, It's Organic book, which you can get as the free ebook version. All you have to do is go to my website, do the inquiry form, click on the thing, fill out the little form, who you are, and then say, I would like my free ebook, and I'll send it to you right back in the email. And this is what we're using here. And I'm actually rewriting the book again, a new version coming out in the next year. We're going to be using that for my workshop as well. These books I've written, I started in 1970. I wrote How to Heal the Earth in Your Spare Time. That was my first book. This is number 21. I have lots of books in between that I have written. And let's just talk a little bit about organic gardening. And I want to cover some of the basics for you, right? Now, at the same time that I'm talking, my whole purpose, my whole purpose in life is to help people, to answer people's questions. So if you have a question, I tell people I don't do marital problem, but if you're serious and there's a problem, I'm happy to talk to you about it, because usually the good old boy just wants to use something to kill the diseases, and the wife wants to be organic. But so I'm going to cover some of the basics for organic fruit tree care, okay? But at the same time, I'm going to guide you into the one thing that I always talk about, no matter what the subject is. No matter what we talk about, it always
rock dust.
What?
Rock dust? Because that's all you ever used to talk about. All right, well, you need rock dust. You need rock dust.
That's one of the things that we will talk about, but it always goes back down to what the name of the show is all about. That's what I'm talking about. You know that. It's all about the biology. It's all about the biology.
Oh, the biology. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, actually, Dr. Greenthumb says it's worms, man. You got to have worms.
Right. Well, worms produce the biology as well. See, that's why it's really all about the biology and how you can go about to maintain the biological balance that's needed. Because for fruit trees, that's just like with roses, with lawns, and anything, always comes back down to the biology, i.e. the soil, i.e. what you do to that soil to allow the biology to do its thing. Because it's the biology that really feeds the plants. You want to have healthy fruit trees. Because I can cover, in my book, I think maybe 10 different types of diseases that fruit trees have. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they all come back down to the very same thing, a trace mineral deficiency. Last time we talked about, I think, what did we talk about? Trace minerals last time, did we? I forget. We've been doing this for so long, I don't even know who you are. I just come here and start spitting things out. I don't know.
We're on our third year. So, yeah, we've been here a couple of days, but, adding the trace minerals, you can add 2,000 pounds of trace minerals on a square foot, and it isn't going to do a thing without that biology to break it down and feed it to the plant. And that's really, where Andy's going, is that biology. If you don't have it, you're not having it in the plant, you're not having it in the soil, it doesn't matter. So you need the biology, and you need those trace minerals, so the biology can actually construct your dang plant and that organic fruit that you love to eat, right, Andy?
Well, it comes down to everything that I do, that everything that you do has to be geared towards the benefit of the biology. So we talk about soil. Why do we talk about soil? Because we say the biology needs soil. Soil is a component of many different things that go into making soil that the biology needs, from carbon. It needs the trace minerals. The biology needs a variety of structures, whether it be humic matter. When we talk about pH, one of the reasons why we talk about pH is because the biology lives in a certain pH range. And when you know
Yeah.
what your pH you're talking about, you're okay, well, at least we're in the right range. But if your pH is some ridiculous, you say, well, there's no way these plants are going to get the trace minerals with this pH. So that's why you
Yeah.
do it. You don't do it because the pH automatically makes the trace minerals available. The pH is what allows the bacteria, the biology, to live there to then go to work and make the trace minerals available. See, and
Yeah.
compost. Why do we do compost? Because it's a good recycling thing. No, we do compost because we constantly. That's one of the few things you can do to bring in biology, and that's compost. That's why you
Yeah.
make compost. You're adding all these kinds of biology to it, and you're feeding the biology, giving it trace mineral, you're giving all kinds of things so they can work on, and then you putting the compost, i.e. biology, into the ground, inoculating the soil with the biology, right?
Yeah.
What about water? I can cover soil, compost, water, nutritional, trace minerals, refractometer, foliar, pest control, and disease control. All of these things have at the core what?
Biology.
That's it.
All about it.
At the core of everything you do, soil, compost, mulch. Why do we have mulch? Well, mulch protects the soil from the sun. It protects the biology. It stops it from drying out on you, from killing
Yeah.
it. Because the sun is a natural disinfectant. The biology just doesn't sit there and go sunbathing, right? Oh, this is such a lovely day, George. What do you think? No, oh, it's wonderful. No, they have to be buried. They have to be in the ground. So that's what mulch is important for. I tell
Well,
people,
it's all about the water content, Andy, because
that's
all
right.
that biology has to have moisture in it to build new biology. Like any cell that's out there, guys, has to have so many molecules of water. You leave your soil bare, you don't mulch it, and it dries out. You're drying that out. The biology can't live there. It can't, it goes into stasis. But it's one of those basic things that we think the farmers, they turn up those fields. Like right now, it's that fall season, and after they harvest, they're turning up the field, and that big beautiful black soil, and you're killing the biology. You're drying out the soil. You're putting them into sleep where they can't do anything. It's for somebody that knows. When I see that, it just breaks my heart to realize, the damage they're actually doing to the planet by doing it that way.
What's really bad is if you go to a farmer's market, right? So I
Yeah.
stopped going to farmers market because I always get an argument with the farmer. I would go up there and I'd say, yeah, I say, so you're organic? Yeah, I'm organic. Well, you're not OMR. I know it costs too much. And I can understand you have so much paperwork to do and all these things. And I said, well, we're organic. I said, well, okay, tell me a little bit about what you do. Where do you get your trace minerals? We don't need to get trace minerals. Lots of trace minerals in the soil. Oh, okay. I said, normally that would be the case. Normally, you go out and plant, the soil is so rich, right? It'd be growing, That's what the Indians, they moved around. In the old days, you didn't have cities. You had traveling, the city traveled around from where and let
Yeah.
the soil rest. They would go from one part of the country to another part and come back to that part again. All
You're like
rested,
you,
ready to go
Andy. It's too cold here. We're going south, man. Okay.
again. So the everything. So I studied agriculture, and they study soil and
Yeah.
everything. Like I said, everything that they talked about, I was able to start talking about biology, but they don't talk about it. They very rarely say that the soil is what feeds the plants. They say, plants need calcium, plants need iron, plants need magnesium. Where do you think they're supposed to get it? If humans didn't give it to them, where do you think it would be coming from? Because remember, humans have not been around for a long time, but plants have, and somebody was feeding them, right?
Well, yeah, Mother Nature was growing plants. They were dying, being broken down and fed back to the soil. Damn, it was easy how that worked. We didn't have to do a dang thing.
That's how I got the name Invisible Gardener, because obviously there's a parable called the Parable of the Invisible Gardener, which is really cool. I didn't know about it until after I tried to get a trademark for Invisible Gardener. And the Lord says, have you heard of the Parable of the Invisible Gardener? I said, no, I haven't. So But and I can tell it to you real fast because this is a real quick little parable. But basically, it's the invisible gardener is somebody's around. You don't see the gardener, but yet the plants are getting fed. The trees are growing. Everything's really helping. Somebody's giving the nutrition to these plants, right? Right. Mm-hmm. And so I got that name because I realized that when people say, are you the invisible gardener? I says, no, I'm just one of his helpers, because the invisible gardener could be Mother Nature, Gaia. That's the true gardener who's invisible, because you don't really see what she does, but yet you see the results. See the results of Mother Nature. That's when something's healthy and how it works. The whole system is really super amazing, and that's all we really want to try to do is imitate Mother Nature to some degree as best as we can. It's great to have a farm, and the farm should be Mother Nature at its best.
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to speed that natural composting process that Mother Nature does into smaller piles that we spread out exactly where we need it. But, I want to just point out, Serena, for the knowledge you're looking for, Andy has a PDF that you can get from him. So you definitely want to reach out on to invisiblegardener.com.
Yeah, it's about the refractometer. It tells you has the different charts. So, for example, I know them by heart because like a citrus would be like a 20. So you have, let me see, good, best, better. I think it's good, best, better.
Yeah.
But basically, good means if your bricks level say from 1 to 5 or 6, that's good. I mean, actually, poor, good, best, better, because poor means below 5, you really don't have any food value in that food. From 5 to about 8 or 9, okay, so you have some food value in it, but it's really not, not healthy at all. So from 10 to 15 or 20 or 18, okay, so your bricks level is a little higher. You have more anything above 20 for my citruses would be like a 28. Whoosh! And that means the higher the bricks level, the more trace minerals, the more minerals you got in your body, you're going to get in that plant, and the more minerals you're going to get for you. That's why.
Now, let's look at the question, Andy, because it's like talking about time of day. Is there a best time of day? Is it morning sunlight, afternoon sunlight, or can you do it when it's cloudy out?
Okay, so it's not just the time of day; it's the time of year. So throughout the year, just say you have this one. You grow this plant that grows.
No, Andy. When can I use
time
a refractometer? Yeah, time of year, like
right. Huh? So it's if it's wintertime, the time of day won't make any difference because it'll be freezing all day there. So it depends on the time of year when you're going to be doing it. So if you throughout the year you got winter, summer, and fall, winter, spring, summer, and fall. That will determine when you're going to be reading. Normally, you do not do as a refractometer during the wintertime because what you're measuring is the blood of the plant, and the plant's not going to be circulating very much, so it's going to be a different reading than if you read it during the summertime, the spring and summertime. The best times to read the refractometer would be during the spring when the plants start to grow, because you want to make sure that you're giving them the right food and stuff. That gives you a really good indicator right away. Throughout the year, it depends where you're at. Like in California, I do readings year-round. Whereas when I lived in Boulder, Colorado, there's no way I would do it in the wintertime. And maybe during the fall, sometimes it'd be too cold then. Because it gets too cold, you're not going to get a good reading at all. And that's would
you do it in the morning only, Andy, or would you do it only in the evenings?
Right,
that's the time of day we're talking about.
Right, I understand. So normally, again, it depends whether or not you're just starting you have a fruit tree or something you're just starting as opposed to something that's been growing a while. Something that's just starting, you want to do it first thing in the morning, so you get that would be the best reading. It tells you what your plant would be at rest, but then you want to get the same reading again in the middle of the day, because that reading will tell you when the plant is fully active and the sun's circulating, everything's circulating blood, and it'll give you a more accurate reading. You should see a difference in the bricks level. But if you keep a track, what I do is I have a little diary. I write down. I did the tomato plant had 21 bricks and the time and the date. And if you were to follow it, you'll see that throughout the year that'll change on you up and down. Same thing with normally people don't do refractometers on trees or roses, but you could do that. See, and those have a longer span that you want to do because vegetables are short-lived. That tree lives a long time, so you get to know what time of year throughout the year that bricks level should be at that place, because it'd be the same thing for that. All those tree species, all the trees have different bricks readings. The roses, different species of roses would have different bricks readings. Different species of lemons would have different brick readings. Not the same.
Okay, so I want to understand this myself.
Yes,
So in
sir,
the
Bob.
morning, I'm going to get a different bricks reading from that plant in the morning because of how the cycle's working. And then
Right.
in the afternoon, I'd get a different bricks reading from the same plant because
Right.
different processes are going. And
Right.
the evening, so you can get literally, depending on what you want to check, you're going to get different bricks readings. So,
Right. So it's
is
really
it
related to the temperature. It's related to the temperature of the soil. So it really feel like over here we have the nights are usually cooler than the days. So if you go out and do a brick reading at night, you're going to have very low bricks level because the plant is not circulating and stuff is not flowing through it. Whereas
yeah.
if you go at noon or 1 o'clock, where it's like, and then it gets to be a point. It's ridiculous to do try to do a refractometer reading of temperatures above 80, 85. You're not going to get the results you wanted because the heat will cause a massive change in the bricks reading. So you have to do it during a reasonable time, temperature level that you're reading. That's why it's good to if you there's a difference. I learned there's a difference to do a refractometer reading when you go out into the field and you do the tree, or whether you bring the fruit in right away and you do it inside the house. You feel it's slightly different. You get a more accurate reading of what the plant would be like. But if you wait an hour, you're going to get a different reading as well.
Okay.
Right. So
And just how the plant is circulating, the flow, or not the phloem. What's a plant? What's it called? Instead of red blood cells, what's the plant blood?
Hemoglobin. Yeah.
What?
It's not. I call it hemoglobin, but that's blood. That's human blood. That's not the one we want. But that's what we want. We want to get, and also too,
chlorophyll. The chlorophyll.
Yeah, right. So what happens is too, is just to be more confusing, if you was to measure, just say you have a citrus tree, different parts, and you're going to get different readings. Technically, it's supposed to be the same reading. So if you get a different reading, that means there's something wrong with your plant. It's not able to transfer all the trace minerals that's needed throughout the plant. It's different when you do a lettuce or a tomato plant because it's so small. But even there, then you can have a tomato plant and you got two different tomatoes, you get slightly two different readings. Remember that each plant is genetically a little bit different than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's interesting too, because you can tell right off the bat when you do you say, well, this was sweeter. You bite it. Yeah, this one from the same plant, this was sweeter than that one. And that's the one I would grow, of course. Let's save the seeds of that one and grow that one. That's very interesting. On one plant, you can get 4 or 5 different types bricks readings. So you want to have a general range that's good. Anything above that, you're going to have a wide, and in different varieties, you can have different bricks reading as well.
So realistically, you should be doing like 3 readings out of a day to see where the average is, and you want a decent average. Is that correct? And we'll go to the second part of her question.
It depends on whether you're an Aquarius or a Pisces. Some people are just, okay, I'll do 1 reading a day. It's more than enough for me. You pick the best time of day, you read that. If you really want to know the range, there is a reason why you want to know the range. You want to see how well your plant is processing the food that you're giving it. Yeah. That's the reason why you do it. If you find it doesn't have much of a range, then something wrong with the tree, because the tree or a plant should be producing more sugar as the heat and the more sun you get, right? More heat, more sugar you're producing. So the bricks should go up, but it never goes up past a certain point. You'll stay at that point, maybe gradually go up. As it reach a certain point, that's the highest that bricks is going to get, and it'll start dropping.
Okay, so you want to see a steady rise throughout the day, and not just a flat liner up and down.
Right, and you'll know how much it goes up to before it levels off, and it should be picked during that time. Otherwise, you're going to start losing the nutritional value the more wait before you pick.
Okay, now I'm starting to understand. Now the one other thing is, how about if it's cloudy out? Is it okay to use a refractometer when it's cloudy out, or does it have to be a sunny day?
No, it could be bright. The only difference is if it's cloudy, it'd be a little bit cooler. So you're going to get a slightly different reading than it was when it was sunny. That's the only difference. There's a problem if you're using a analog refractometer as opposed to a digital, so a digital refractometer, you cannot use it in the sun. You have to be in the truck or inside somewhere because the sun will be too bright. It'll hide out your digital, readings. Where an analog, you can look at it straight into the sun. It gives you a reading from it. And you didn't mention how much you spend, but I hope you didn't spend thousands of dollars on a refractometer.
Well, I hope she got it from Blue Sky, because that's the one that we're recommending. But we can relate this, guys, to tree care, because if you're doing a refractometer and using it in your tree care, it's exactly the same. And whether it's a fruiting tree or not, just general tree care, you can see this, and you can see if that tree is actually healthy. Now, Andy, if it's not that healthy, she was asking, what do I do if it's not healthy? Well, add more biology, right?
Right. So there's two things that are going on that you're going to have to do. One is you have to do a short-term effect. You have to do something now that will help the plant. It depends on whether it's a tree, or it depends upon whether it's a rose or vegetables.
Foliar spray.
What?
A foliar spray to feed the plant and the stalk, especially for a tree.
Right. So it depends on the type of plant you have, but generally speaking, you can make one like compost tea. Compost tea would work on any type of plant. The only difference would be is you have to make sure that you're always giving it a full complement of trace minerals. So it wouldn't make any difference what type of plant it is, as long as you're giving it a balanced diet. It has all the trace minerals you can get your little hands on. It has all the different types of biology you can get your hands on. And that's what I would spray, because as a foliar spray, two things happen. One, they're going to absorb the minerals. So they get right into the little body. They're going to go, oh, yeah. They may not be able to process it and absorb it because that system is not really working yet, right? Because when things start going downhill, the mechanisms that create that they can make food from, that's not working yet. So you can take it into your body, absorb it, but then the mechanism has to kick into gear to start working. That's going to take some time. It may never happen if you don't address the root system. So at the same time that you're foliar spraying, you have to do what's called a soil drench. A couple of things you need to do. One would be pay attention to what compost you're using. Because right off the bat, I have a feeling, is it Serena, right? Serena? That's the name of the person? It's not using not using the proper compost, or it's not making the correct compost, because something's missing in her biology that's causing this problem of the biology of the compost. So offhand, I would say if you're not using any type of animal manure, specifically cow, if you're not using cow manure, if you're not using sheep, you're not using some of the more exotic manures, because those are the ones that have the exotic biology that you really need to break down those exotic trace minerals that you need to have. And so that's one reason why when I make the foliars, I use 90 or so trace minerals. So we'll have all exotic ones. When they absorb that, they will get it, right? It's either they'll get it from the roots or they get it from the leaf, one or the other. So you can't
let's take a look at another comment that Serena had, because the farmers in Iowa, they've been putting out manures right straight on the field for years. And now they're having problems with too much nitrates in their soil, and it's a lack of biology to break those apart, Serena.
Right.
So you can go overboard. It's all about balance in your compost. You don't put in 10 tons only of cow manure. That's why Andy's saying the more exotics, the alpacas, the rabbit manure, chicken manure, it's a whole flow. It's all about more balance and biodiversity. Be diverse in what you're putting in.
The nitrates is the salt. Sodium nitrate, all these different things are nitrate. These are chemicals that come from your fertilizer. So they end up in the soil, which destroys the soil biology. But right now, the biology cannot survive in a salt environment. So what you need to do is you need to actually introduce more biology that will break that up. If you want to get rid of the salts, you can't flush it out. You can't flood it with clean water and hope the salts go away. No, you have to start introducing plants that will grow there and rotate it with as many different crops as you can. The more roots in the ground, more things start to grow, the more the nitrates will start to get broken up. You want to have cattle or some other creatures roaming that area to eat the grass and poop again, because there's a big difference between having live biology and dumping stuff on the place on a certain level all the time. You just basically dump it there, and that destroys or nothing grows. So you want to have something that's alive. So you want to go back. You want to have animals rotating through the property, let them eat. You grow all kinds of grasses that will grow there, because that would break up the nitrate as well, bring it up to the surface and break it up as well. So there's lots of native grass, lots of plants you can do. Anything wild that wants to grow, let it grow. Lots of herbs and medicinal plants will break it up and allow the biology to get down into it. So you want to start, if it's your land, that's the best thing to do, is rotate your crops. Literally, you want to have a moving cattle, moving from one place with a fence, let them roam in that area for a while, maybe a few months, and then bring them to another area or property and leave that area alone, let it grow. You'll find that within a few years, the cycle will help everything to break up again. Also, too, you learn how to use biochar, lots of different ways to add carbon to your soil to help the soil biology move in there and start working.
And the other thing people don't consider, when an animal is going across your property, especially like a heavier animal, their hoof is actually cracking the soil surface, and that is a form of working up your soil, and it can be very, very good for your soil. And it's not really talked about very much, and that's where having the cows come on, and then the goats come on, and then the sheep come on, and the progression of animals through the area, because each eats a different thing. Their biology and their guts that they're putting out the other end is helping as a progression of life. And it's that life progression. Like, Andy, you were talking about the compost. People, I need to understand, when that compost heats up, that's all bacterial. And when it cools down, then you have the more fungally dominant species coming in. And that's why you need that progression. And that's where, Andy, you start with the foliar you're feeding for the fruit trees, because that's where you need to keep them alive. And then you work on the soil and soil biology to make sure that they can stay alive long term. Now, Lily did have a question in that same basic line: is, would it be the same for any type of fruit tree? Is it the same care, Andy, that we would be doing? I would think yes, personally.
Right. All the fruit trees, all the plants, everybody grows in the soil cannot tolerate salt beyond a certain point. Salt is toxic. Salt will kill it. And unfortunately, all chemical fertilizers are salts. Basically, that's what it is on a regular basis. So much of it is not used, the rest of it is left there. So that's why you definitely want to have a rotating crop. You want to let things grow that want to grow there. You want to invite all the weeds, come weeds, start growing. And you allow the weeds to grow. You rototill them back into the soil again. The animal will naturally break up the soil. As when they eat stuff, they'll eat and recycle it back again, because you're going to get a lot of fresh bacteria in that place. And you do want to let Mother Nature do its job. You'll see lots of things will start popping up and start growing. And it's all the fruit, everybody. You have to eliminate the salt. Unfortunately, you can't pull them out, wash them, and put them back in again. So you have to pay attention to the immediate care of the tree. It's sick and needs help. It needs food. So the foliar feeding is number one thing you do. And also the trunk, not just the leaves, but it comes in through the trunk, and you soak the base of the plant with your biology, because the roots are going to start picking some of that up. But you do need to have the addition of compost or something along those lines that has the biology rich. That's why the animals will do it just perfectly. They will poo behind you and leave your compost behind. And you'll find that will break down, the salts will start to get broken up and used by the whatever weeds are growing. Those things will go through the salts like crazy, and they will break it up. And you'll find that the other animals, they need salt too, but they'll eat the plant as well, because the plants will be rich in salt.
They would prefer the plant.
Right, exactly. And we'll trace minerals. So it takes a little bit of time for it to recover. Okay, so it's not going to be a 1 year thing. I saw this one over here about the tomatoes. the mango, and it moved on
This,
before I was able to.
my
Yeah,
my mangoes have black soot. Help me, guys. I think it's rusting.
right. So again, we go back. It goes back down to a trace mineral deficiency. I mean, to me, it means calcium, and it means magnesium. Your pH
Mhm.
level is off. When's the last time you had your pH, your soil tested? You need to know what your pH level is, because if you know what your pH level is, do you know why? Why? Do you know what? Wait, why? Why? That's why. Why? Why?
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What's the pH level of your mango crop, mango plant? Do you
Now,
know?
I know Ghetto Hippie threw this out. Would neem oil spray help that black
Yeah,
mold?
there's lots of things you could do for short-term things. Any
Yeah.
type of oil would normally suffocate it. You'll be surprised that there's many things in the grocery store you can buy. Sesame seed oil is a wonderful oil to use. Coconut oil is an amazing oil to use. You learn how to use that to spray with. Uh, that's why neem works. Is basically it's an oil that suffocates the plant, the bacteria, but it doesn't solve the problem because it will grow again. The rust. If it looks like that, if it looks yellow and orange, it's a rust, but it's more of a disease, a separate type of disease that has a
Yeah.
spot. It's called black spot, and that's a specific type of fungus among us. And that basically means one, that the water that it's getting is toxic because it needs to have clean, fresh water, not water with city chemicals in it. That's destroying the Mother Nature. Was these guys here need water, but they don't leak. They like to sterilize water because it kills the natural beneficial organism, which normally they combat these guys. So if they're not around,
Mhm.
the diseases will spread. It's funny because the chemical they give you to kill biology really kills the good guys. The bad guys mutate and they proliferate for more. So you get
Yeah.
more of this problem without the good guy benefit of the good guys. The other thing that you want to learn how to use is milk. So
Yeah.
you can spray milk straight, whole organic milk, whole fat. It's the fat in the milk will do the same thing. It will coat the milk, but it's a calcium deficiency. You're getting calcium at the same time. So that's one of the things you want to do. If you're spraying foliar for the control of the disease, might as well give them the food that they need, which is calcium and a bunch
Mhm.
of trace minerals. So
Yeah.
that's why I like coffee, cream, and sugar, because if you do organic cold brew coffee, it's rich in iron, rich in magnesium, rich in a variety of other things in there that the plants need. And then you give them with the cream, which is the calcium, and that will help them to absorb the rest of it. And if you use molasses, which is sugar, they'll get an additional rush from that. So the plant will feel better, but you still have to control the conditions that's causing the problem in the first place. Basically, it goes back to your soil. You're probably
Mhm.
overwatering. You're probably not incorporating compost as you should, because compost should be applied several times per year on a regular basis. Compost and mulch. You need to learn more about rock dust, because rock dust is one of the easiest way to get trace minerals. Is to just buy a couple of different sources of rock dust, because they all have different trace
Mhm.
minerals in it, and they last you a long time. Be mostly least expensive to use. I use uh, I use C90 SEA90, which has 90 trace minerals. That's a real easy way to do that too. It's an ancient salt bed. You have to learn how to dilute it. Remember, it's a salt. So if you already have a salt
Yeah.
problem, the other lady has a salt problem, you don't want to be using salt because you already have salt. So you want to do something different that eats up.
Yeah.
When I started spraying my teas, I learned that it breaks up the salt right away and it comes up. So that's what happens when you want to break up the salt. You have a good biology, rich mineral product that you can spray and soak the ground with. That's what you want to make your compost with. So one of the tricks for making compost is to learn how to control the pH level of your compost. You can make it really high, you can make it really low. And that's because the salt content of a lot of animals you get, manure is very, very high. So you want to dilute
Yeah.
that.
Now,
There,
yeah, the labs or lactic acid bacteria, that's what we make in Korean natural farming, which is basically a concentrate for what Andy is saying is spray the whole organic milk, and that with the organic milk, you're actually getting the calcium with it. So labs is straight really concentrated for the biology,
lactic
but
acid.
the mangoes may need that calcium. And also, why I was saying, I don't think he's been on the property because he was saying that they've been around since the 50s. He thinks, and he lives 3 miles from the East Coast off the Treasure Coast. So I think it's a place he's moved on to. But hey, compost, more organic material. I would try the whole milk definitely, because you're basically killing two birds with the one stone.
If you live on a farm, the ideal scenario would be to have a set of roaming animals, like roaming cows that roam through your property and poop throughout the property, and allow them to bring in the minerals and so forth that way, and that would really help a lot. You could definitely need to look into the compost aspect, because I don't think you're really making compost, and this is an indication that. So if you're near the coast, maybe fog will cause a lot of water, cause the same problem on the plants. So if you was able to spray on a regular basis, and milk can cost you a lot unless you have cows, right? You can get it right from the cows and start spraying that way, or you can get a powder, or there are lots of other ways you can get calcium into a spray. I use this one rock dust with 30% calcium, so you learn how to make a tea from that, and you can spray it. So you want to key into whatever is best for your area. That's easier for you, if you get something that's in your local environment you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
well,
so remember
diversity.
Remember, cold brew coffee is an acid. One of the reasons why it's really good to spray on bacteria is because they need an alkaline environment. So that's why you have coffee cream and sugar. Like even though the cream is alkaline, it gets neutralized by the coffee, and you have the calcium in an acid environment. And the sugar is molasses. They have molasses now for agriculture use. It's really cheaper to use. Again, iron, calcium, magnesium, all these things. Calcium is the number one thing you need more than nitrogen to make trace minerals available. It's the same as the human body. You can't process trace minerals in your body unless you have some calcium working for you.
Yeah. Now let's go back to a Brix question, Andy. Would Brix readings vary by levels of hydration?
Yes, sir. You'll find the Brix level will increase as you dry. So if you have grapes or whatever else that you dry, it's going to have a higher Brix level than when it was in a full water state. You'll see. So you normally don't do a Brix radar for a Brix reading on dried fruit, stuff like that, because they go through the roof. And it doesn't really help you decide. You'll know it's going to be sweeter. See, like raisins and even dried mangoes, they're going to be sweeter. And it doesn't help you to say, well, my 64 Brix level when it's dried. You go,
you want to do it with a live plant. We want to help our plants.
And what's interesting, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say we can go on to the next question here. Anyone using electroculture techniques to stimulate the biology? Andy, have you heard of electroculture?
Yes, sir. So let's see. In Florida, I did a series of raised beds. We basically had a coil. I put in a coil. I had a raised bed with a coil sticking out the middle of it. So there was a copper rod that had a wire wrapped around it and went right into the ground, into the bed. And you'll find that I know that. See, in nature, that's one of the things. When you have rain, you have thunder. That's electrifying everything. The electricity is electrifying everything. So your plants will do really well when you have that electricity flow, electrical energy flowing through your plants, because what it does, it helps you assimilate the trace minerals. That's what the key. That's the key of what it does. It helps you assimilate trace minerals. They even have cultures. You can get it so where you can actually facilitate the absorption of calcium, and that's what the electricity does. But again, you have to be real careful now, because it's better in a farming environment than in a city environment, because the city you have all kinds of electromagnetic fields that will interfere with that. Where in the city,
guys, just to let you know, we've got Stefan Burns, our geophysicist, coming on with Leighton on Monday. So we're going to be talking a lot more about the electrical flows. But, if you are really interested in going down this rabbit hole, look up redox potential. And it actually, if you're looking at deeper levels of biology, in the quantum biology, that's how they're registering what quantum biology is by the flow of electrons, etc., going through. That's how they're visualizing things. But if you don't have energy and you are lacking it. There's lots of people that are literally, especially if they're growing indoors, sticking an iron rod in, and running a wire to outside and tapping in there to try to get that electrical flow. You definitely need it for more health. And I don't know how much it's helping the biology, but if we don't have electricity in our bodies, we're not that healthy. That's why we always promote grounding.
There's this. So I have a grounding device that I use on my feet when I'm on the computer. I
Yep.
also use my grounding device. Sometimes I'll put a plant on it. Take a plant in a container. It grounds the plant as well. I swear I can tell the difference when the plant went, because it allows the problem with plants in containers is they're not grounded. Very simple as that. They don't have the energy that it normally would be getting through the recycling of energy in the ground. So you kind of have to help them a little bit that way. I like that. That's why I like when I do plants, I have to give them my biology. You can say, why give them liquid biology there in the container? Who cares? Well, the plants care. See, a lot of times I even take put a worm in the container, see if the worm survives.
Yeah, and if it doesn't survive, you got real problems. But like, you look at the people, and like Lily was actually telling me about a video that she found where the farmer was playing Mozart in the field, because they found that birds start singing around an hour before the sun comes up, and it literally opens the stomata on the bottom of the leaves so the plants breathe and breathe in and out better. And the music, in the field was actually, instead of the corn being, 3 or 4 or 5 feet tall, it was 7, 8, 9, and 12 feet tall.
Listen,
So there,
don't get me
energy.
started. Don't get me started, because when I was doing this in my youth, I had a big giant speaker.
Oh yeah, but we're not talking, squeezing that organ thing, Andy. Okay,
no. No, so I had a big giant speaker, and it was like wireless. I would take the speaker out, put it in the garden, and I would play music, and the music would be harmonizing. All the insects, the trees, and everybody would be harmonizing together. I mean, that was my feeling. I think I felt it more than I could prove it. But the proof was in the pudding. That very little diseases, very little bug problem. The fruit tastes delicious. And that's part of the what I do now. I have inner gardening music, see, and the music is really meant for the insects and the trees, not for the people, but it shows how the people listen to it as well. But that's the idea. That in nature, there are all kinds of frequencies that are keyed into trace minerals, and those frequencies actually help produce the trace minerals in our bodies as well as in the plant body.
Now, I wanted to say, Rick, find the videos where they're actually putting rods in and trying to draw the power back out to charge batteries. That's a fascinating technology as well. We do have Serena wants to make sure I get this question up here. Why would my squash plant just barely start growing a squash only to have it turn yellow before it blooms?
That's called blossom drop. Blossom drop. And again, it's a trace mineral. That means that the plant doesn't have enough to follow through with the whole process. Oh, I ran out of. And the number one thing that's missing is calcium. The calcium allows iron to be turned into nutrition that can be absorbed by the plant, the roots. It also has something to do with the variety of the plant you're growing, because when you buy heirloom organic varieties, they are better with biology than if you buy plants that are not, because they've been sterilized all their life. They do not have any root systems that work in there. They're meant to be sprayed chemically. So that's a big difference there too. So you don't tell me what kind of plants seed you're growing. I'm assuming that you grew these yourself for years and years and recycled, brought it back in, because if you go to the store and buy stuff, you don't know what you're getting. And hopefully you bought heirloom organic variety as opposed to standard variety, because then you're going to have a problem. The little plants are not going to be able to absorb the nutrients. They're going to have a problem. Even if you foliar feed them, they'll respond to it, but their root system will never recover, and they will have a disease or a pest.
Yep. So Serena had some questions on the Monday show that I asked her to ask today. Got my solar refractometer today. Do I need to recalibrate it every time I use it, or just one time?
No, when you first buy it, you recalibrate it. I would recalibrate it once a month. Again, you'll find that it works differently throughout the year. The temperature will vary. And when you clean it, you have to make sure you use distilled water, not city water. You want distilled water to clean it with. You do need to clean your refractometer on a regular basis. But I would just calibrate it once a month, because you'll find that the temperature will change it a little bit. It could be as much as 5 or 10 different Brix levels. But so if you calibrate it every month on a regular basis, after a while you go, gee, it's different in December than in October, November, January. Yep. They're going to be different. And I would start using it on lawns, using it on roses, using it on trees, using it on your hair. You know, they have refractometer for beer and booze and alcohol, yep. And that's what it's for. They have refractometer to look at stars. This $1 million refractometer tells you what the planet is made of, because it doesn't say anything breaks up the light. So the little refractometer will basically breaks up the light and tells you the minerals in it. But you don't see that because it's a lot cheaper. You can get a more expensive variety that breaks it up for you, but that's what astronomers use.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a fascinating thing when you're looking, like the Hubble telescope is using a refractometer in its lens to see these kind of things. Your microscope that you're looking through to see the biology is a form of a refractometer, using the light. But most people don't really get that. But the other question she had it was about, if it's high or low, what should, where should it be? Let me read the whole. Okay, what adjustments to make if reading is high or low or lower than it should be? And I think we've basically already covered that, Andy.
Well, if you're thinking this should be higher and I should readjust that refractometer to show that it's higher, it doesn't work that way. So you can't make it so higher because you want it to be higher. You would calibrate it to 0 and you read it. And you don't say, well, this should be higher. Yeah, okay, it should be higher. That means you don't do anything to the refractometer to make it higher. You got to go back to what you did to it. That's why I have a little log. I said, I sprayed it today with milk and cream or whatever, right? And then I drew a refractometer reading. Well, look, that changed the reading. Or if I sprayed something and it didn't change the reading, well, that didn't do anything. That's what you got to learn. Especially, it's very different when you're doing homeowners. I do a refractometer reading on the lawn. And I go, well, the lawn was a 10, now it's a 20. Bingo. See?
The cells are healthy. They got the right sugars in there. But
and the weeds will always have really high refractometer reading. Weeds are Mother Nature's medicine. You do a refractometer reading, you go, wow, look at this reading.
Well, that's why we call them medicinal plants for the soil, because they are.
So you want to do a refractometer reading on everything, but keep a record of it. Today is Sunday, the date, it's weather, this is the temperature, I did this reading. And then when you do a reading again, you look at it and you go, gee, either the readings should be the same or they'll go down or go up. You have to say why. And that's where it's a really good indicator if you're doing the right thing. I mean, I was doing this for so long, I don't need to do refractometer reading now because I've done this over and over and over and over and over and over. And did I tell you I've done over and over and over, and then I've done it over and over, and I've done it over and over and over, and I've done it over and over. Over and over again. So you don't have to, but once it's really help. It's for the non-believers and people who need to see a device tell them that it's working or non-working. You need to go to the store.
This kind of correlates with shooting the soils question here. What's your opinion on leaf shine to Brix level? I find it correlates on some plants like my pawpaw, and that's basically what you're saying is you can see it when you have the eye for it.
Right. So I don't know what the leaf shine is made of, because the leaf shine could have something in it that could change the refractometer reading. Sometimes a leaf shine could be calcium based, which definitely would change it. So you have to tell me, look at the ingredients and tell me what the leaf shine is made
I mean, as when that leaf gets glossy.
Yeah, right. Well, you can do that with milk. You can do that with any number of things to gloss it up. You'll find that if you didn't do that, and if you're doing it right, yeah, the leaf will automatically be a blue-green glossy color. That's when it's at the healthiest. Then there are different
Yeah.
plants that are different, so you have to get to know the plants. Some plants look really healthy, a light green color. You think it's sick, but that's the way it is. And remember, you can also not only test the leaves, but you test the flowers. So you test the leaves and you test the flower. You're going to find two different stages, two different levels. So if you have fruit, you test the fruit, the leaves, the flower, and the fruit. You know what I mean? You're going to get different. You should get 3 different readings from it. The fruit should be the highest. And again, you're going to get, if you take a fruit and you test it, and then you come back and test it later after it's ripened some more, it's going to have a different reading. The more riper it gets, the higher the Brix level is going to be. So you have to decide when I'm going to do the fruit reading for my taste, right? If I wait too long, it's almost rotten. The Brix level shoots through the roof because it says sugar.
Well, and you think about the guys that are using the refractometer on the grapes because they want to make that wine and they need just the right amount of sugar in the grape to make this flavor of wine.
Right, that's when they pick it. It's perfect. Pick it now.
See? Exactly.
Don't wait another day because you're going to get a different reading.
Yep, it's going to be too sugary then, and then we're not going to get that same sparkling wine. But Serena, squash vine borers keep destroying my zucchini plants. What should I plant next year to prevent this?
It doesn't work that way, Serena. I like her, but see, whatever you're going to plant there, they're going to be susceptible because you didn't change the soil. You didn't say, okay, these squash vine borers are coming here because there's a deficiency in the soil and the plant. Same thing. Calcium deficiency means it's not getting the magnesium, it's not getting the iron. The squash borer is saying, yummy, yummy, yummy. This food is very simple carbohydrates. I love it. I love it. Give me more and I'll eat it all up because that's the food it needs. It wouldn't touch it if it was complex. And if it was complex, that means you're missing a trace, not just a trace mineral, but you're missing whole bunches of it. You see? You look at the refractometer reading on that zucchini plant. Tell me, I'll pay $100 if it's over 10. Go ahead, read it right now and send me a picture of it. I'll pay $100. If you have to pay me $100 if it's under 10, because it won't be over 10.
Silly Lily says, Serena, it's all about the biology in your soil.
That's what you got to key into. What should I plant next? With the plant, we'll get the same thing, unless you get one of those hybrids that's bred, but then it's not organic. There'd be other problems that will happen.
Yeah, the better, Serena, the more healthy and vibrant life you have in your soil, then the healthier the plant's going to be, and the less likely that any type of a pest is going to be coming and chewing on your plant. That's why you have the refractometer. The higher the Brix level, the more complex the sugar, the less that a bug is going to be able to eat that. So you're not going to have bugs. So
let's do it this way. So you're having a trace mineral deficiency in your soil. Make it up by doing foliar spraying that you have a complete balanced diet. You can offset it completely by spraying it. You didn't tell me, are you foliar feeding at all? Are you doing anything at all to it? Because that's what I would do. I would start coffee cream and sugar. That will give it a good balance, give it an immediate rush. But then I would key into other things that you can spray, like the C90 is wonderful to use. The wood vinegars. One of the things about the wood vinegar, it's got all these different trace minerals in a biologically active mixture. Only a few drops of wood vinegar in a gallon of water will make a big difference to the absorption rate of these plants. If these plants start getting the minerals, and on top of that, when you spray the borer with it, they will not like that either. But that's one of the best protection. Get that biology on that borer. The borer says, I'm out of here. Bye.
I'm going on vacation. It's like winter here. I'm heading south, okay?
In a natural environment, a forest or whatever, the biology is on the leaves. The biology is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's when it's not there that the bugs go nuts.
Now, here, and Serena, stop asking questions, okay? No, keep going. Every year about mid-June, the oak trees start getting black spots. And of course, I let it slide here. What causes this, and what do I need to give the soil around them to stop this?
So oak trees are like any long-lived tree. They have a special type of biology for the root systems of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And they live on the root hairs of the plant. This is a specific type of biology that when the biology in the soil gets done, it comes up to these guys. Hey, George, take this, and the George takes it and goes into the plant and gives it to the plant, and the plant gets the nutrients they need. So that is something wrong with that setup. It's not getting what it needs. So you're normally in nature, you have anything that lives a long time usually has a nice environment around animals all over the place, whether it be birds, squirrels, rabbits, all kinds of creatures that are doing this thing because they need that specific biology. So you can't, if it's a big giant oak tree, how am I going to spray an oak tree? How am I going to give all the trace minerals that it needs? Remember, it absorbs it through the trunk.
Yeah.
And these spots are on the trunk. There's the disease of the trunk. It's a specific name.
Actually, she's saying black spots on the leaves.
Right. Well, if they look on the trunk, and you'll see it on the leaves because it spreads out. The leaves will cut, and this is a deformation. Again, it's a calcium deficiency that causes the problem. And then what happens too is because the real problem is that there's a certain biology that are missing in the soil. They're not giving it to the tree. Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is, King 9.
Cool.
So what you do is if you can spray milk, fine. But you have the oak tree is so difficult. That's why I have a sprayer that allows you to spray up into the tree.
Yeah.
See? And so I've learned what doesn't make the difference what the disease is. I can combat it with a liquid that's good for everything. And the biology is so mixture. There's so many mixtures of different biology in there. You spray that. One of the little guys are going to get, I gotcha.
Well, and people need to remember, Andy, if the biology that you're spraying on with your foliar spray is needed there, it's going to move inside a house. If it's not needed there, what happens is that biology will get consumed by the biology that is there and use as building blocks to build more biology and more leaves, more fruit, etc. It's that predator prey thing.
So what I would do, Serena, is I would learn how to use tree vents. So in one of my books, which I have a PDF copy of, I'd be happy to send it to you. It shows you the tree vents on it, and it covers diseases in trees and stuff. Tree vents are basically clay drain pipes. You put them around 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock as a tree around the drip line of the trees. They're about 1.5 foot, 2 foot tall and about 4 inches wide. They're clay drain pipes. Put that in there. In the clay drain pipe, you get the best compost you get your hands on. Make sure it's minerally rich, biologically rich. Put that in there. Put a drip system on top. Make sure the drip system is hooked into a filtered source so it doesn't get city water, because you're probably getting this city water is causing you all your problems, Serena. You don't have a filter for your property, so you need to combat it. You might as well it's $2,000. I know there's one company we talked about before that came on our show, and they sell you a water filter that will solve that problem, because over a long run, you can even do a fertigator. So it's an inline unit. Basically, you plug it into your water system. You put your biology in there, so it's constantly going biology on the water, providing biology for the soil, because you need to be constantly feeding the soil with biology. Eventually, it will burp and it'll stop the problem. Right now, you haven't been doing that. So you're deficient in the biology. You do not have the biology you need to make everybody happy in the food they need, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, like that Blue Sky has that filter you can attach to the end of your hose. So at least you're not putting those chemicals that are killing the biology.
And that causes the problem.
And everybody should be doing that.
That's right. And that's the source of your problem right there. I mean, humans are your source, but basically, if you get rid of humans, you don't have the city water problem anymore.
That's right.
Right. So that's what you got to do. If you don't have a filter for city water, then you have to be bringing in biology on a regular basis, because it gets killed daily basis, hourly, minute by minute. Biology is dying. You see a battlefield with dead soldiers. Oh my God, our legs Oh, my legs are shot off.
If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
using city water or you're using fertilizers that you think are good and they're actually killing your biology, you have to bring the biology back in an hour or 2 hours later. So yeah, if for anybody that's listening, if you're watering your garden or your plants, even your house plants using city water, you're killing the biology in the plant and in the soil. You need to bring that back, guys. It's all about the biology. That's why healthy cells have to have healthy biology. But Andy, we're at the hour. What's our topic next week? It's chapter 5 next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have it here with me. I don't know.
Do you have it? I've got your book. You look it up. Guys, tomorrow the ladies chiropractic is sexy. Have the day off. They'll be back the week after that. For you that didn't hear, Stefan Burns, our resident geophysicist, is on with Leighton on Monday. So we'll be talking more on energy, frequency, vibration, what's been going on with our sun and what's that causing in our planet for volcanoes, etc. Because it all actually is correlated. Remember, our eyes, we don't even see 1% of the frequencies of light that are out there. Not even 1%. All those other frequencies, vibrations that are interfering with us, our planet, our plants. Those are the kind of the things that we're going to be talking about and investigating. So, guys, love you all. Andy, do you have next week's title?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about trees. All about trees. All diseases.
All about trees. There you go, guys. Love you for all your questions, guys. Keep them coming. We will see you guys on Monday then.
Right. Thank you, guys. Bye now.